Hey guys, Ross here. Just want to do a little conversation. This is a big one. This could go a million different ways, but caught my attention this week. A lot of attention on Jabari Parker, a basketball player from Chicago. CNN, Sports Illustrated, SI did a really good article kind of following him through his recruiting process, which is always interesting for me, and gave a real inside look on what it was like to be recruited by Florida and Billy Donovan and Michigan State and Tom Izzo and Duke with Coach K, and kind of how he went with his family through narrowing down his schools and what was important. And good article. Read it. Let me know what you guys think about it. The other thing was there's another article after where he committed on ESPN. He had an interview. He had all these fans in the background. He had a big show. It was announced a week before that he's going to make his big decision. And then an article about how after he chose to go to Duke, all this hating came on Twitter and on Facebook about how he made the wrong decision and fans hope he fails and kind of how tough that is. And I think he was quoted saying, "Hey, come on, I'm just a kid." And that part really was interesting to me. So we've got two issues in this video. One, his recruiting process, and then the aftermath of the decision. I'll start with the recruiting process. Very interesting. He put in order things that were important to him. His coach being first, academics being second, and basketball being third. And that was interesting. I think a lot of kids put coach first. I do think your coach is extremely, extremely important to your experience in college. But at the same time, Coach K is going to retire at some point. Coach Izzo is going to retire at some point. And there are going to be kids, maybe 15, 25 kids that are going to be recruited by these coaches or be playing for these coaches, and they're going to retire, and they're going to have a new coach. And so something to really think about is all the kids go through the process. We have an enormous amount of coaching turnover. Obviously, Coach K and Coach Izzo are the best of the best in their business, and I don't think that they're going to be fired anytime soon or looking for other jobs, but they will retire at some point. Everyone's got to retire. And it's interesting how many student athletes put coach as their number one priority when I would say the majority of kids, over 50%, do not have the same head coach for all the time they're in college, either because their coach gets fired, takes a new job, or kids quit or transfer. And then second was academics, which I thought was interesting. Duke and Stanford he had on his list. I thought it was interesting, a couple of things. One, he took off Georgetown. Obviously didn't like the coach there, but that's an extremely good academics school. So if academics was second, you would think that Georgetown would have stayed on his list. But that was his decision, and obviously didn't like the coach. Kentucky was on his list for a while. Academically, that's not in the breadth of a Duke or Stanford or Georgetown, and that got taken off the list quickly, maybe because of the coach, maybe because of the academics. And then the other thing that stood out to me when reading this is he's from Chicago, is a little bit about Northwestern basketball. Why they can't seem to get all these phenomenal players from Chicago. Here's a kid that's a great student from a great family from Chicago looking for a good academic school, and Northwestern's not even in their top 10. Obviously, a player like him could turn around an entire basketball program forever. Be interesting to learn how hard Northwestern tried to recruit him and if he gave them any love. Being a Big Ten school with phenomenal academics, close to home, it seemed like me it should have even been mentioned on the list. And then moving on to his basketball, when he put in his article that for basketball, Michigan State was the number one school. Very interesting that he chose Duke. I would be interested to find out why he thought the basketball at Michigan State was going to be better at Duke and then still chose Duke. Either way, great insight. Appreciate SI giving all the fans out there, all the student athletes and parents, kind of an inside look as to how the recruiting world works. And then my second thing, just going on the whole notion of these press conferences and news conferences and why we do them and why the student athletes are doing them. To be honest, I'm not a fan of them. I don't know why student athletes do them. I know he was quoted saying, "I'm doing it for my fans," and I thought that was a little weird. In one breath, you're telling me you're just a kid, you don't deserve all this, tweets negatively and Facebook negativity towards you, and at the same time, you're talking about your fans. I know it's part of the deal. I don't know why parents want to put their kids through this pressure. Yes, someday they will have to do interviews on ESPN, but being a high school kid, you're putting so much pressure on them already. All the magazines, all the articles, just going to Duke and being a student athlete is hard enough. Obviously, all the kids at Duke are blue chip recruits, and so we know plenty of them haven't made it to the NBA and haven't lived up to the hype as a high school athlete. I don't see any positive in doing a thing on ESPN and having a thing in your gym with all these fans and announcing to the world where you're going to take your talents. You're just a high school kid. You can sign it at home. People will find out where you're going. If you want all this attention and you want all this pressure to be put on you, then you got to know that you're going to get tweets from fans that say you made the wrong decision. You're going to get hateful stuff on Facebook. And if you're just a kid and you don't want to deal with that, it's very simple. Don't do interviews. Don't talk to the media. You don't need to be talking on Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff about where you're looking and what you're doing and where you're going to school, because everything's going to come with the territory. So it's kind of like one or the other. If you want to go through it and you want to have the interviews and you want to be all over Twitter and you want all these fans and you think you're going to be famous, then you better expect the criticism. And hopefully the parents and his high school coaches were explaining this to him beforehand, and kids are thinking about it. If I go down this path, this is what's going to happen, and there's negativity with it, and you're adding more pressure to succeed. If you're not ready or you don't feel like it, it's not a big deal. You don't have to go through this path of getting on Twitter and Facebook and interviews and ESPN and magazine covers and announcing to the world we're going to school. I doubt Christian Laettner and Grant Hill held big press conferences were announcing to the world they were taking their talents to Duke. Probably made their life much easier. So very interested to hear all of your guys' opinion. Again, I see both sides to it, but love to hear what you guys think, especially the high school athletes, about making the decisions public and all the pressure that comes with it and all the negativity of all the fans at the other schools, and if it's really worth it. So enjoy the articles. Love to hear what you think. Again, hit me up on Facebook or Twitter, and look forward to discussing it.